Hey kids, don't forget that I have a Discord that you can join if you want to submit your own build to be featured on Build Talks. I will take any build, any subclass, any guardian class, any mod combo, anything. All you have to do is just join the Discord, react to the rules because you would be amazed at how many people don't do that, and then start posting to your heart's content. Now that all that's over with, let's talk about Peacebond, yeah? That's the new big thing. There is a lot that can be said about burst sidearms. On a more personal level, I tend to avoid them because of their lower aim assist values and the fact that I can barely hit things 5 feet away from me to begin with. As a result, close to mid-range kill shots are more of a wet dream to me than anything else. Guns like high albedo and brass attacks, everybody says that they're great, and I agree with that statement. It's just the fact that I can't really ever hit anything with them. That doesn't make them bad, it just means that I guess I just kinda suck. The same can be said for Peacebond. Not the suck part, the part about burst sidearms actually being really good. It's a brand new stasis sidearm that drops in the Iron Banner. To get a feel for it real quick, let's take it into the Last Wish and get a couple magazines on Callie's skull. That ought to do the trick. Give or take 2.5 mags dealt a total of 74k to Callie's forehead. Now that might not seem like much, but keep in mind, this was raw physical damage. No damage perks, no combat mods, no nothing. Just straight bullets. Thankfully, this means that it feels less like you're firing a paperclip and more like you're firing an actual gun. It can hit. It really just depends on the perks that you get, much like any other weapon. Similar to high albedo, it clocks at a 491 in RPM and it's built on an adaptive frame. It's light and it's agile. Even at its worst handling stat, which is a 46 due to an extended barrel, it's not completely terrible. It's nothing that can't be offset by Mechaneer's trick sleeves, which is exactly what you should be using with any sidearm if you're a hunter. Especially since unstoppable sidearm is a thing this season, Peacebond is an extremely versatile weapon that excels in many different areas, and you'll find yourself using it for far more than just a stagger and then a swap. Or I have, at the very least. I don't know about you guys, but personally I think it's one of the best sidearms in the game, but whatever floats your boat, I guess. Anyway, the optics are crisp and they are non-intrusive. It's a wide-open oval with a single red dot in the center, allowing for some of the best visibility. It's reminiscent of something like the 7 Seraph SI2, which is another phenomenal sidearm that I believe I've talked about a few different times on this channel. Now, according to Light.gg, the curated role is arrowhead break, accurized rounds, rangefinder, and snapshot sights. Those attachments create a weapon that is heavy on stability, which sits at a natural 81, with a handling of 55, a base reload speed of 36, and a range of 40. Its impact and its aim assist are both slightly lower than that of high albedo, sitting at a 75 and a 69 respectively. It is a bit strange that two weapons in the same RPM group would have different impact stats, but either way. Personally, that's not a role that I'd use because, as previously discussed on this channel, I am the shittest of shots, but on paper, those perks together make for one hell of a gun. And if by any chance you happen to get this roll, I fully expect you to dunk on shotgun apes in the Crucible in my stead. Case in point here, this is a very well designed sidearm, and I want to talk a little bit about the iteration that I've been using since it dropped for me. Polygonal rifling, steady rounds, subsistence, and snapshot sights. This, in combination with the counterbalance stock, legitimately removes whatever recoil was present to begin with, maximizing stability and recoil direction both to 100. This weapon has a fantastic feeling to it. In PvE environments, snapshot is more of an added bonus than anything else, but the real meat of the gunplay comes in with subsistence. In encounters during activities like Altars of Sorrow, subsistence really shines through as a winning perk, simply because it allows for the player to literally mow through mob crowds of red bars and minor targets with ease, simultaneously removing the need for reloading because of the 3 rounds that get loaded back into the mag on a successful kill. Combining that with a combat mod on top of trick sleeves could also make this a hard-hitting damage dealer as well. High energy fire, surprise attack, those two will maximize your damage output overall, allowing for major targets to be smacked in the mouth swiftly and accordingly. As with any kinetic weapon though, this is not boss damage damage worthy. It's capable of dealing large amounts of damage, but it's not a chunker, and it's not gonna be. This is meant for mobs and the occasional major, which are 1,000 times more common than almost anything else. As I said earlier, polygonal rifling and steady rounds together will maximize stability, but that's not the only available combination of attachments that could be considered strong or reliable. Combining fluted barrel with steady rounds will also maximize stability while pushing handling to 71, which is Peacebond's highest natural handling stat. That's something that could be utilized by any other Guardian class other than the Hunter, who can naturally buff handling via Mechaneer's Trick Sleeves, as previously mentioned. In case it's not super obvious yet, the right perks make this one of the most stable weapons I've literally ever fired in Destiny. Like, ever. This is nuts. I can't get enough of it. Now let's take a good hard look at column 3 and 4 perks. In column 3 specifically, we're looking at Tunnel Vision, Subsistence, Pulse Monitor, Killing Wind, Rangefinder, and Under Pressure. In column 4, we're looking at Surrounded, Swashbuckler, Demolitionist, Harmony, Snapshot Sights, Headstone, and lastly, Iron Reach. What catches my eye is that there are a lot of potential perk combinations that can create for some interesting gunplay, specifically in column 4. Damage perks can make or break a gun. To start off, we'll look at Subsistence with Surrounded, Harmony, and then Swashbuckler. As previously discussed, Subsistence reloads 3 rounds back into the magazine on a successful kill, and Surrounded offers an approximate damage boost of 40%, assuming there's at least 3 targets in close proximity to the player. That can be combined with High Energy Fire or Surprise Attack, which is a 35% universal damage buff to equipped sidearms. There's also the Surrounded spec for a major increase to overall damage in either PvE or PvP, which will royally smash virtually anything in your line of sight that isn't a major or a boss. Once you have all of these stacked, that is. Harmony is a column 4 perk that offers a 20% damage increase, and it could also work extremely well with Subsistence and Surprise Attack. In theory, you're stacking a 55% damage increase with both Harmony and Surprise Attack together. Harmony will buff Peacebond's damage after successful kills with other weapons, while Surprise Attack requires you to swap to a sidearm in order to get that damage buff to begin with, so the two kinda go hand in hand. The strategy would be to build charge stacks with an energy weapon and then swap to Peacebond for the full effect, which would be buffed even more by Trick Sleeves, assuming you're part of the Hunter Master Race. Had to throw that in there. This might be a PvP strategy, but honestly, I can't really say for certain because I'm not skilled enough at PvP to really speak on successful strategies because I kinda, I suck. So, yeah. Swashbuckler would be more of a high energy fire kind of thing, especially when considering that the perk itself offers a 30% damage increase at maximum stacks. And the mod doesn't require you to stow the weapon and then equip it again just to get the damage boost if the gun was already in your hands. That's how Surprise Attack works, and it's wonky. A single melee kill will stack the buff to max and the damage buff will fuel Subsistence, meaning less rounds are required to get a final blow. Swashbuckler is a strong PvE perk that I tend to really search for in my daily gun grind. Next up, we've got Headstone, which I think might be my new favorite perk ever, mostly because Cryoclasm Titans and Shatterdive Hunters can really take advantage of it to fuel their aspects and fragments. Basically, the gun creates a large stasis crystal at the location of a target that you killed with precision damage. That crystal acts and looks exactly the same as any of the other stasis crystals in the game, so it'll trigger Whisper of Fissures and Whisper of Shards. I'm not a sure enough shot to get precision kills with a sidearm in PvP, but a player with more skill than myself could absolutely make use of that, which would increase their grenade regen if they're using Whisper of Shards. It could also be heavily exploited by Shatterdive, as if we haven't seen enough of that already. As already explained once before, I don't feel like a sidearm is ever an optimal choice for boss damage. Rat King is a different story, of course, but basically every sidearm in the game, with the exception of Rat King, are meant for mob crowds, and that's because most often damage increases via mods are situational. But in instances with 6 players and loads of mob crowds, where orbs and elemental wells are essentially just kinda everywhere, or scenarios where you're able to reliably build charge stacks by yourself quickly and efficiently, your weapons can become ultimately more powerful, and those incremental increases will add up over time. Let me give you a small example of how this would work on a practical level. Subsistence is the base perk for the role that I'm using, and there are 3 potential damage perks that I could theoretically utilize here. The first being Surrounded, which offers an approximate 40% damage increase, on top of Trick Sleeves for an additional 100%, and lastly, Surprise Attack back for another 35%. Like I said, it is a little situational as it does require charge stacks and some precise timing, but the numbers are definitely there. Harmony, on the other hand, deals 20% less on its buff, but it is still a viable option for the same buff stack. And then lastly, for damage perks, we've got Swashbuckler, which will function the same way as the other damage buffs, just in a different percentage increase. So we've gone over just about everything that makes this gun tick in a PvE environment, but the best way to really test out this gun's reliability is to head into Iron Banner and snag one for yourself. It can drop at the end of the match, or you can get it from a banner engram. It doesn't take long to get your hands on one, thankfully. In reality, it comes down to a bit of luck, what you do and you don't manage to get. But in my opinion, these are some of the most powerful perks that you can get your hands on for Peacebond. You guys know the drill, new videos soon, I will be in my cell.